Hello everyone, welcome back to the second video on chord fills, jazz chord fills or moving lines. I like to call them moving lines, but the reason I didn't call that video this is because probably no one would watch it. So now what we did in the last video was, just to recap, we took three chords, D minor, G7, C major 7 and A7. All right, and then we moved the bass line around to give you kind of like moving fills, if you like, or a moving line. All right, so that was what we did. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at these other notes and how we can move those. Now, this is like a static arpeggio, this. And it sounds nice, doesn't it? But what we're going to do, we're going to try and get some movement in these lines. So there's a couple of important things that you should know about this. Right, first of all, so we've taken the root. Why don't we do the third of each chord? Now, if you're not too familiar with that, I'm going to tell you the notes, but if you don't know that so much, you can just look at the shape of the chord going into the next chord. All right, so first of all, think of this D minor shape here, and there's the note we want to focus on, which is an F note. That's the third of D minor. And now we want to go to this note, which is a B, but can you see that's within the chord there? So you got this. Right, so that's the B there. So we want to get from there to there. Okay, so we're going to use the chord to help us. So now here's the other really important thing about this, that when you're playing a moving line or a fill, whatever you want to think of it, don't jump too much. Think as if you were playing a normal jazz line or a normal line. You wouldn't do something like this. You wouldn't start a line here and then go, you know, that wouldn't work. You want a nice smooth line like that, you see. And it's the same with these chord ideas. So the other thing I want to tell you is when you're playing these arpeggios with your fingers, if you finish the arpeggio on this note, which is the F, which is the third that we just talked about, then start to descend from there. All right, so let's have a look at that. So we're going from this note, the F, which is the third, to this one. So how about this? That's quite a pretty one, isn't it? All right, so what did I do there? What was I thinking there? Well, I played this D minor, finished the arpeggio on this note, then really, because this is, I'm just looking at these chords, but I'm also kind of thinking of the C major scale, because this is a 2-5-1 in C. So you'd have this. All right, so there, the notes I was playing is. Okay, so hope you can see I'm not doing anything too fancy here. So there I'm going F, E, D flat is a passing note, C, and back into the D there, really. So it's really just a C major scale. And then into that note with the chord. All right. Now this is a bit like snooker. You've got to think ahead a bit here. So say that's our line for the D minor. Sounds all right. That time I played a note before into that, so it can change every time. But let me do the same thing again. All right. Now we're on the G. Now we want to go to the third of E, which is this note, which is an E. All right, so we finished on this note. We want to go to this note here. All right, so how could we do that? We could go up the scale again, couldn't we? B, C, D, E, there. All right, so let's try that. All right. Now, obviously, this is a bit physically difficult because you're trying to hold down chords and you're trying to move lines as well, so it can be a bit tricky. But there we go. That's that one. So we're going from this note, an F, which is the third of D. B is the third of G. E is the third of C. All right, and then the last note is a C sharp for the A. But let's try that. I'll do the same thing again. I won't improvise. Back into the C there. So that's a thing you can do. Now, when you're on C, we've got to go to this note. So how are we going to do that? I might just move this note up. So that's the fourth fret. Up. And notice when I played that C, if you look at my fingers here, to make it smooth, you play the arpeggio and finish on that string, then move that one up. Don't finish on this string and move that one up. It also, I'll do that, it will sound a bit weird. Actually, that's not too bad, but sometimes there's a bit of a clash, so ignore that. Okay, here we go. So let me just play all those lines. That's quite nice. That's the thirds. Now, the other notes you can move, obviously, we've done the root, we've done the third, you could do the fifth, the high one, let's try that. So every time you change things, you're going to end up in a different spot, which leads you to another spot, if you see what I mean. So if we did that, so there, when I was on the G, I went, so that was, so you're always thinking about where can you go to, you know. So all of these notes you can move, but as I say, the main important thing to know about this is you're being creative yourself. You're not relying on someone giving you, you know, like a line to play. So wherever you finish the arpeggio, so if I finish the arpeggio with my fingers here, that's the note I'm going to move down. Which takes you to the G7, all right. So remember that, that's the really important thing for smooth movement. So yeah, there we go. The interesting thing when you're moving these things around is you can think of just one string, if that makes things a little easier for you. So for example, just think you're going from point A in one chord, say this F, to point B in the second chord. So here's the chord, D minor, that note, to point B in that chord. So you could do a little run maybe there, let's see. Now, obviously, like I said before, it's hard to do that. Sometimes with chords, you might, you know, it's going to sound maybe a bit horrible at first. But anyway, there we go. That's how I come up with fills between chords. Just using, you know, what you've got. And most people do this. Most people you hear do that, don't you? But that's the secret to moving between chords. Use the other notes in the chord. Don't think it just has to be the bass. They all sound nice, you know, when you're going between chords. That's a nice one. G7 to C. B, C, D, G, C major 7, you know. So you're just moving between all these different ideas, which is nice. Bit of bass there. Alright, there we go. I hope that's given you some ideas of creating your own fills. This lesson really, you know, isn't a lesson on, you know, licks. Here's how to play a certain lick. It's trying to teach you how to be creative, how you can come up with endless possibilities. I mean, you could be there for hours just doing that on the 2-5-1, and then just try other progressions, you know, other chords, see what you can come up with. So have some fun with that. Let me know if you've got any questions down below, and I'll see you soon.